right. Yeah.
Just 100 questions.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Here Marco Minnemann, living legend on the planet. Take a look at him. And Marco,
Yeah.
how are you doing?
I'm very good. Как дела?
How do you like Moscow?
I like Moscow a lot. I've been here many times with various bands and also solo things, and it's always great to come back. Always good times. Last night we already went out, way too late, but here we are. We slept and it's all good.
A little beer?
All the beers in the world. Yeah. No.
Do you like light or dark beer?
You know what? Actually, a Guinness was more the choice from last night because we ended up in an Irish pub.
Dark.
So there you drink actually sort of Guinness. But usually I'm always up for good other things as well. But not that much. But yeah, last night was a day off. So night off basically. So we went out and had a bit of fun.
Well, great. Marco, we are Drunk Channel actually. And
Drunk channel.
Drunk Channel. And we have a lot of drummers, thousands of drummers watching us.
Oh.
Yeah. And they all wanted you at our channel, and they've sent a lot of questions.
Really? Okay.
Geeky drum questions about your technique, about your strokes, grip, equipment, and so on. And I would like to make our interview based on the changes in your career.
Okay.
Well,
Sounds
let's
good.
start with the changes in your equipment. What was it in your beginning and now? What's the difference?
Well, in the beginning, I guess, when I started off playing drums, I pretty much had a regular drum kit, but I always had like 3 rack toms, then 1 floor tom, then all of a sudden the second floor tom came apart, a B2B part of it. And then I incorporated a gong drum at some point because I wanted to use it as a kick drum replacement, so to speak, because I was messing around with 2 hi-hats by the time, to play like, rudiments and all sorts of combinations with that. And so I needed a kick drum. And
But you didn't use this before.
I haven't used that before, so that kind of came in later when I was like 14, 15 years old or something like that. And at some point I moved actually the 8-inch tom over here because I kind of found myself liking more like the rock approach on the drums, and the sound of it, so that I would keep like the 10, 12, and then 8, and then 16 and 18, or 14 and 16 floor toms. And that kind of stayed pretty much the same most of the time. I sometimes change it around, when we're on tour, with the Aristocrats, I use 2 different setups. Now I'm using the big set, but sometimes I also just go like, for, 10, 12, 16, 18, or a no gong drum. That approach I sometimes have too. But right now, I'm using the whole spaceship.
Is it important for you to have so many drums? Or you can use any surface?
No. That's like I said, the smaller setup is fine too, without the gong drum and without the second snare sometimes, or with maybe also 1 floor tom. I don't mind, It depends on what you do. Obviously, if I do a clinic or something like that, then people come and want to see me do, my thing with multiple hi-hats and all this kind of stuff, so I bring them along then, But for band playing, most of the time, just put me in front of a drum set, I'll somehow make it work.
Let's shortly answer some of the technique questions.
Yeah.
What is your height now when you sit on the drum stool?
Pretty straight, I have to say. Pretty straight, like
90
with
degree?
an absolutely 90-degree angle. Because if you sit too low or too high, you lose a little bit of control. I think a good balance, is always the key for, healthy breathing and.
Do you think
solid
about your
playing.
breathing when you play?
No, I don't think about my breathing when I play. I was pretty much always pretty relaxed on the drums. I always make sure that I have like, the right technique, that I don't hurt myself, that I kind of, hit with the right velocity, but also like, with ease, so that I kind of, don't over-compress the drums or absorb the shock into my hands or stuff like that, So, or arms, that's the thing. And so that I got kind of done pretty early in my career, that I kind of really was sort of conscious. I kind of just had to feel loose, behind the drums. That is to me like, where your brain is free, and then you can kind of, play with ease. And,
So it's some kind of a concept of concentrated relaxation.
Maybe, but again, it's like now I'm saying that out loud, but I never really think of that. When people ask me, it's like, yeah, it feels natural to me. If I can, play and talk at the same time, for example, then something must be free in my mind.
Do you sing sometimes?
Sing?
Yeah.
You mean during playing?
During playing, yeah.
Rarely, but
Yeah, you make some
during
noises.
yeah, sometimes during our playing, like during our show, you'll hear Bryan and myself sing, actually, you know. So we do that sometimes.
And using your duck.
And using these kind of things, rubber picks and all sorts of, yeah.
Will you use it today?
Yeah, they're part of our tour entourage.
Great.
Yeah.
Next question. We're very fast.
No, it's good.
What limitations do you have in technique now? What are you working on now, specifically?
What am I working on now? To be very honest, and people are always surprised when I say that, but from the get-go, I always take more care about songwriting, you know, because I also play guitar and other instruments, and that was from day one pretty much the case. You know, I have many solo albums out, and so I always was more into writing. And then, you know, what I'm working on comes more out of necessity. So the thing is, like, when I hear something inside of my head, like I said, like, okay, when I have a double paradiddle on the hi-hat, yeah, then I work on it, absolutely. But I'm not sitting down really and go like, cool, here comes my 2-hour practice routine, and then I go on stage. Actually, frankly, you know, like, I don't practice on the road. And I can speak for Guthrie pretty much and Bryan myself, because we go on stage almost every night. And we play a lot of new stuff. So yeah, obviously during the sound check we kind of try some things out, but to us it's actually really, really, really comfortable and cool when you don't play. You know, when you kind of, you know, take a break from your instrument and then look forward to the evening, and then you go like, here we are.
So you don't practice at all now?
Not really, no.
Just on stage?
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
Guthrie, hello. We have a question from our very good drummer, Russian drummer, subscriber of our channel.
Yeah.
It's a very long question.
Oh my.
Did you realize when you came up with your own system of coordination exercises in order to play everything you came up with on your computer, that mastering the system and expressing yourself through it would make you one of the best drummers in the world? Or did you just want to finally play these damn self-programmed drum parts?
That's a very, very good question. You know, a little bit of both sometimes, you know. But I make sure, I think, you know, when I started out, it was a little bit different. Yeah, you try to beat the machine, because machines got so well that you can program anything pretty much in them. And then you sit there and go like, oh no, now I have to, you know, kind of make this work.
Jojo Meyer is making now it.
Oh yeah? He's doing, he's trying to beat the machine as well, huh? I know.
He's tried,
you know, I know how that feels, especially when you play death metal. For example, like, you know, when I played with Necrophagous, for example.
I have a question about it, yeah.
Sure, but that thing was like, you know, the drums were pretty much programmed and edited on the albums. And then you go like, and then I joined in later, you know, and then I kind of tried to play it, and I wanted to do it without triggers. That's when you realize, oh shit, I guess we are human. But it was fun. You make something out of it. You know, you try to sound organic, and I want to sound organic, you know. I'm not trying to sound organic. I want to be organic. And I guess, you know, the Aristocrats are the perfect example. But again, coming up, you know, with the machine kind of thing, no, I don't try to beat a machine or something like that. I really came up more, you know, of this myself, you know, by just hearing certain things inside of my head where I go like, okay, I want to play a quintuplet, let's say, against a septuplet at the same time, and maybe, you know, 8 notes with my feet, and let's see, 8 notes with my right foot, and then let's say like an 8 triplet with my left foot. Then your brain goes like, okay, start, you know, with the 8 note, then try to go for the triplet. And then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and then you put the septuplet top. Something like that.
Perfect. Tell me a few words about your schedule. I think that your schedule is full of different activities. And do you have any rest days?
Yeah. When we're on the road, for example, we take every 4th day or 5th day a day off.
Oh, every 4 days.
Look, yeah, for example, yesterday, that was like a thing, you know, as you rightfully kind of, you know, already observed. Guthrie and I had a pretty lengthy night out. When we're like in Moscow, you know, so come on, you know, absolutely. So yeah, we take care of this, and you know, and also the travel schedules are kind of cool. We don't really kind of hurt ourselves by kind of trying to get in a morning flight or something, you know, kind of have a show, get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then go to the airport to then arrive hours later briefly at the next hotel and then play the next show. That is not healthy. So we try to really kind of route, you know, our flights and our gigs away that we can live.
How did you learn English, and when did you realize that it's necessary for a musician, for you exactly? Because you speak English very well.
I'm trying.
But you're not from the US, you're from Hanover.
I'm from Hanover, Germany
Deutsch
originally.
is your language.
Deutsch ist meine Heimat, meine Muttersprache sozusagen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I moved to the States already years ago, so I live in California for meanwhile,
So only practicing.
15 years or something.
Practice English, that's all.
Well, yeah. Look, the thing is, like, when I grew
When
up,
did you start? In
Yeah.
your childhood?
when I grew up, you know, that I listened already to a lot of albums, Queen and all those bands I still love, and I wanted to understand the lyrics, so I kind of learned how to sing along and what the lyrics mean and what the meaning of those are. And I guess, you know, experience is always the best teacher. So, but we also got taught English in school. So that's another thing, you know. And yeah, and I was very enthusiastic about this all the time. So I think I was pretty much the best in English in my school because I was like taking it very serious and I wanted to mimic, you know, all the you know English-speaking bands and was into band playing, obviously. So I was very enthusiastic about that.
It's the same like me in the childhood. I've read the dictionary all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
What about diversity? You've played with so many musicians, artists, yeah? Geniuses of our time.
Oui.
Guthrie is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and does the drummer have to be focused on his style, or like maybe Phil Rudd and AC/DC, yeah? Or try all styles of music?
I don't know, you know,
What is your
it's
choice?
I think, you know, that's that decision belongs to each individually, you know. I guess, you know, for me, I have a very wide taste in music. You know, I like Queen, but I also like Judas Priest, and I also like Miles Davis, and I like Prince, and I like Kate Bush, and you know, and there are many other bands that I really like, you know, Zeppelin or something like that, and Frank Zappa, for example. So all these bands combined, and you always want to learn, you know, that's the thing. So I was like keen on playing along those records and learning them, and some are a little harder from the technical standpoint, some are a little groovier. You know, and I tried when I was a kid already to absorb all of it, to understand what makes the band tick, what the core of the band is. Obviously, with AC/DC, it's like, you know, laying the right groove down, you know.
But how come have you managed to be in Exodus, Necrophagous?
I was never in Exodus, I was in Creator for a while.
Creator. Yeah.
Exodus opened up for us on that tour. And Necrophagous, yeah, because I like that kind of music as well. Well, Creator came out of, well, the thing was like Miller, the singer, he approached me because he recorded a bunch of times in the studio I was part at in Germany. And we became dear friends. And at one point, the drummer from the band didn't want to go on the world tour. He had other things to do, or he just wanted to lay out for half a year. And Miller pretty much approached me, goes like, hey, can you please help us? We don't have a drummer. And I was in that time by that time on tour with Eddie Jobson and the band UK, and I was like, oh my, Creator, huh? And then I said like, yeah, I'll help you out. How long is the tour? When does it start? And I saw like my schedule, and it was possible. So that was exactly that. And with Necrophagous, it's pretty much the same thing. They didn't have a drummer by the time, and I jumped in, and they were nice people. So that sometimes happens too. But it's also that I like metal music here and there, you know. So that's a fun thing.
How do you learn drum parts when you get it from the artist?
Well, I just listen to it, and then if it's complicated, I transcribe it at first
In notes?
in notes. If it comes up soon, then I write it out if the gig is tomorrow or something. And if I have time, then I'll do a schedule. For example, last year with Steve Hackett, that was from Genesis. We had you know, we had a 2.5 hour set or something like that, like completely like a long set, and or even longer. It was like a little over 3 hours, and then we kind of subdivided it into different gigs, you know, different set lists. And man, you know, and I kind of did a schedule. You know, I made a schedule. I was like, okay, there are 22 songs in the set. I learned 2 a day. How many months do I have time or something? And then if I see, oh, it's kind of a little bit ahead, I can kind of, you know, learn. Then what I do is I learn 2 songs a day, just by memorizing them. You know, just kind of going like, oh, cool, that's this part. Maybe I make some notes, you know, and then I learn them, and then I absorb them, and then I try to not look at the notes anymore. So when I learned those 2 songs and memorized them, then the next day I play those 2 songs again, and then I add the next 2 songs. And then the next day I play the 4 songs, because the other ones are already internalized, and then add more songs. And all of a sudden it's magical how your mind...
Your brain makes all the work.
Yeah,
himself.
it's magical how that works. It's like learning lines
You
for...
don't know how it is.
No, it's like learning lines for a theater play or something.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't read those, you memorize your dialogue,
That's great.
Yeah.
What do you think about Rush reunion? Neil Peart passed.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
But maybe you are the next Rush drummer.
Oh,
How do you think about it?
that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Well, talked with the guy.
Yeah, I'm dear friends with Alex Lifeson, and he's been part of my life now for 3 or 4 years. He played on on 2 of my albums, and then we also did like an EP together, and I played on some of his material as well. Which he hasn't released yet. Just privately, he kind of had it going around. But he's on my album and is full on released on my 2 of my albums. And we talked about things like that. But he doesn't want to go out on tour anymore, really. And
they played many years ago.
They played so long. He says like, look, 41 years of touring or something. He goes at some point, But you never know. That's the thing. I don't want to speak for Alex here, But I can sense that they're having a great time also now. Retiring is the wrong word, it sounds wrong, but just chilling out and kind of spending times with their families. But hey, you never know what comes along, man. You never know.
I remember first when I've seen Marco Minnemann,
Yeah.
it was the video when you were with Paul Gilbert.
Oh, yeah.
Orange costumes.
Yeah, the spacesuits.
Yeah. A few words about Paul Gilbert.
Oh, Paul is a super nice guy, and we started working first in 1998. It's crazy, isn't it? And so that was actually really, really cool. And then we did like 2. I was on 2 of his albums, like Burning Organ and Spaceship One, and then Spaceship Live. That's where the spacesuits came in.
Yeah.
He played also on a few of my albums as well in return. It was actually very, very cool, and we had a lot of fun. Well, the spacesuit thing that was just like a fun little idea that got realized, just like, having fun in the studio and setting that up. And it's funny how much attention that kind of all of a sudden drew just by putting something stupid on, There was not even kind of,
if you make something stupid, you're popular.
I know, right? But it was a cool thing, and we even had like fork machines at some point in the studio there. And, I remember during this drum solo part there in this one song,
who's better, Guthrie or Paul?
They're both good. They're both good, actually, at different things.
Okay, very polite answer.
Oh yeah.
They say that rehearsals are not necessary nowadays, and all musicians rehearse at their home. Yeah. What about you?
You mean for playing live?
Oh no, for playing in rehearsals.
In rehearsals
with each other.
I think it's important to play at rehearsals.
Play together?
Absolutely, with each other. When we kind of go out and record our albums, we kind of make sure that we meet for 2 weeks or something, and then rehearse the songs and then record them. And sometimes even
home, yeah?
Yeah, we do learn everything at home. And well, our concept with the Aristocrats is that each of us writes individually songs. So, and we complete them. And then we kind of send them to each other, we learn them, and then we kind of work them out in the studio. And but we rehearse, and then we kind of see like, okay, what part fits? How can we kind of make things, that it grabs and grips? And then we record it. So I think, rehearsing if you're a band is of importance.
But a lot of people now don't rehearse at all. They go live, and that's it.
Well, I hope they sound good that way.
My sister. Is it about your sister?
No, it's
What's it about?
Thanks for the question. It's actually very cool. So it came out of okay. Here's the thing. So I was seeing this girl, Crystal is her name, and
Hi, Crystal.
hey, no, we're all friends. It's all good. And then for some reason, magic happened. She had a phase where she was sometimes not reliable, and we kind of were on and off and seeing each other and sometimes not. And then her sister came along.
Wow.
And she wanted to go out with me. And I was like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. You know what? Why not? And then Crystal magically all of a sudden wrote like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said like, I'm actually going out with Summer. That's her sister. And the text message that came back, with Summer, and then in capital letters, my sister? With question marks.
And that's the name of your...
And I was like, this has to be either way a band name or a song name or something,
the real
or album.
musician thinks only about his album, not girls.
Yeah, there you go. But here's the thing, we meanwhile all, hung out together and we can all laugh about this. But I made it literally in the album title because it inspired me.
How do you come up with new fills and grooves?
That sometimes happens on the spot. What I do, I play sometimes very lengthy drum solos. And when I do this, some new parts come along.
Alone, by yourself?
Well, by myself sometimes, and also live on stage. And when I see that I have something in my mind and that I cannot translate it, then I'll go and obviously practice it, and then I go like, cool. And then once it works, I'll make something out of it. So this is, I think, how I come up with things. They fall from the sky. It's like writing a song. And some patterns are difficult. And some are easygoing, but the difficult ones, I'll try to tackle them, and then I kind of go into the detail. But this is how I pretty much come up with new things. What I just said, what I did on the spot. You play this against that, against this. I just try to kind of see if it works, and then pray to someone that it works. And there you go. So that's how I come up with things. And when they sound beautiful, then I incorporate them for the future. If they don't sound good, then I let them go. Yeah.
Do you follow trends in drumming, like fashion fills in fives, triples? It's very popular now.
Oh,
Do you follow these trends?
Absolutely not. I never even think about that. I never even think about them, not remotely. I really just think about what sounds good or what not. I never had a thing where I kind of, or a phase go like, oh, this is hip now, or this is what people do now, or something. I was like, never following the trend.
Gospel chops?
No,
Do you like?
Yeah, hell yes, I do. But I probably am even playing some of those, probably intuitively or something. But no, actually, I have to be very honest. I don't really listen so much to drums. No, it's not that it's about time. It never interested me.
Oh, okay.
And this is so kind of funny. I know, I'm seen in the world as a drummer, and I love drumming. I love good drummers, and I love to be part of that scene. But to me, it was always like I'm going. Upstairs I have my music studio with me, even on the road, and also at home I mostly play guitar, and then I write songs, and see, okay, how can I write a good song for our new album or for my new solo album? So that's more in my head.
And what music do you listen to now?
I think one of my favorite albums recently was Neil Finn's new album, which is called Out of Silence, which I think doesn't have any drums at all, except for one song or so. And that is a beautiful album. Just the lyrics are great, and just with the orchestra he plays, that is fantastic. What other bands are good? I thought Battles were cool. Battles is, and they do have a good drummer, John Stanier.
Okay.
He used to be in Helmet. And that was the first album, Mirrored, was great what they did. The other ones are cool too, but that especially was cool. Field Music is a good band from England. We recently picked up and listened in the car. I kind of brought the albums along. See, when we're in in our tour van, you'd be surprised what we listen to. Like Ween, the band Ween. Yeah, W-E-E-N, like just a fun, weird, kind of absurd band, that
this
do
is
like
what inspires you now, yeah?
Oh, what inspires me? Yeah, I don't know if Ween inspires me, but yeah, actually, yeah, of course they do, because they're just funny and cool. But what inspires me? I don't know, man. In music, seriously, I've everything that is good or triggers something. Like I said, like the new Neil Finn album triggered something, I guess, or just something that is beautifully done. But I have to really think hard now, because I don't.
Okay.
Maybe you can send me some advice, what to listen to.
I will give you, definitely.
I always keep writing.
Do you play for the song, or you still want to impress the audience?
A little bit of both with the Aristocrats, I'd say, because that counts for all of us. Usually I play for the song, absolutely. But there are certain parts that are made for, improvisation. for in each individually, and that's when you shine. That's when you come out, and that's when you kind of play. But the song structure has to be obeyed, and I guess overplaying in a regular song is never a cool thing. That's just anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But if there are the spots or fills that should happen, then yeah, why not? On and off, deliver some firework. But I think keep it to a very musical extent. Sometimes it's just great to play just a regular kind of fill that goes like, and then maybe after do like the boings. It's like.
We have the question from our subscriber, one more.
Yeah.
Very long.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Longer than my answer.
His
Huh?
personal observation. Marco is quite an emotional person. He talks quickly, reacts violently in a good way. He has quite a lot of explosive feels and very fast passes. With all this, it sounds amazing. And even in those songs, for example, Wilson's songs,
Yeah.
where the rhythm of the song is different at the moment, he can still embed a quick drum fill. Does he think that his everyday emotionality really affects his game so much, and isn't it difficult for him internally to play some grooves that require a minimum number of notes?
No,
Can you play very minimalistically?
well, of course, if people know my albums,
Yeah.
then they will hear, that I sometimes just kind of lay down a groove. Obviously, when they listen to a certain thing that they know me from, where people want me to play in a certain style, then then I can play more jazz-like as well, or something like that.
Do you feel great about it, or you want to make a fast feel?
No, I don't. No, not at all.
Every time.
No, not at all. But it depends also for who you play with. That's the thing.
You want to
So
impress people with these fast feels.
nah, those days are over. That's what you do when
Just your
you're.
personality.
That's what you do when you're 18 years old or something, and you have to still impress people.
Yeah.
I think meanwhile people know what you do. That's the thing. But if this is, what kind of person you are and what kind of playing you like, then yeah, look, John Bonham was doing impressive fills, but he also laid down the groove. But there are some moments where you think like, fuck, this was cool. You want to hear some
This
fireworks?
is one of your favorites?
Hell yeah.
Top 5 favorite drummers of Marco Minnemann.
Okay, John Bonham, Stuart Copeland, Vinnie Colaiuta. Geez, there's so many, man. There's so many good. I just here my dear friend Simon Phillips. Simon Phillips is a really good old friend of mine, and love this guy. So.
And the last.
And then the last one, Chet Wackerman.
Wow. Great.
Also, old dear friend of mine, and we go back. And there are many more that I just forgot. I just blabbered it out. I'm sorry if I forgot someone. Many fantastic drummers.
Too many.
Barrymore Barlow from Jethro Tull. Don Perry, my dear friend, also from Jethro Tull. There are many. Dennis Chambers. There's a Terry Bozzio, obviously.
Okay.
I keep forgetting them.
Who's
But
better at drumming, human or computer?
computers.
Why?
No, bollocks.
Why?
I don't know. It depends. It depends on what you need. I think, isn't it? It's like obviously a drum computer is not a drummer, so that settles the question.
Better. He's just better.
Yeah, of course, and always on time.
Yeah. The best drummer. Too much music nowadays. How to compete?
I think just with being honest and emotional, and bringing the message across in the most pure way, and making the people who come to the shows be part of you and not being distant. Like it's like a family approach. When you have long-standing bands like Iron Maiden, for example, they act almost as a family. That's why they have such a strong fan base, because they identify themselves with that band. And nowadays, or not even nowadays, or bands who kind of just come together as projects will also always be a project. Some people will go like, oh cool, what makes this band special? Oh, they're a project. Strange. Is the music any good? And most likely it's like, when you kind of just put a few people together, it's more about the playing rather than the writing. So I guess, if you have a band union, or you have one songwriter who's good and projects like a personal message, I think that reflects in the music.
What do you think about classical drum education and self-taught guys? What's the difference? You're
I
self-taught.
don't know, because I had a teacher. I had actually 2 teachers for the first years, but also briefly, always on and off, but mostly I am actually.
Never had musical
Nope.
education.
No, I did. I went to a school where I learned to play organ, 2-manual organ, with foot bass and everything. So that was when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I guess, for 2 years. And then, I started drumming and had like a few teachers. And, but not many lessons. Just like, I think I just did this for a little bit on and off, here a week and there a week. But then I became pretty much mostly self-taught, And I was reading books, Gary Chester's New Breed, Gary Chaffee about finger control.
Stick control.
That one was just about to say, stick control, which was also the template of designing my book. Pretty much that combined with Gary Chester's New Breed was what I had in mind when I wrote my first book, because that was exactly so like, how about playing all the combinations against each other? And I was dumbstruck that nobody else really wrote a book about this or did it. And I was like, that needs to be written and tried. That's how I came up with the 2 heights and all this kind of stuff. So I guess it goes hand in hand. I think if you're driven, if you're driven to kind of do something and you have it in your head, then you're automatically going to school. Then you're already in university and you don't even know it, but you're in. Now, and some people need a little kick from the outside sometimes. There's nothing wrong with it. And they go like, cool, I'm going to go there and they help me. And maybe I get inspiration. So both sides are valid. It's a question of discipline, yeah? It's a question of discipline, I agree, exactly. But also, if you go to a college, what the good part of some of those colleges is that people connect, People find each other, and form good bands. Yeah, that can be a reason. So I came exactly from the other side. I was more reclusive, writing my stuff and doing my things, and then gathering musicians together that I locally knew. And then all of a sudden now with the web and with such a wide network, of people that we know, it's meanwhile easier. You kind of go like, oh, how about with this person? How about let's do this, or this could lock, or this could lock. You get much more experienced, obviously. So how did you get to your gigs regularly? You get the phone. What did you emails, do? Isn't it? Emails, people usually... What did you do about it? Or you always receive requests? I mostly receive requests, to be very honest, but meanwhile there's so much there that I have to concentrate on selecting things. It's a good problem to have, There are many things, that I can't do, that I have to refuse. And which is kind of sad sometimes, where I think like, oh man, like the Steven Wilson shows, at some point I had to refuse doing that because I had so much other stuff. To wrap up, it's all good. The last words of Marco Minnemann here. Well, play with ultimate passion, believe in yourself, and if you believe in yourself and your friends believe in you and your family, then you can create a fan base, and then no matter what people talk on the outside, just do your thing and have fun and go out drink Guinness. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was so cool. Yeah, half an hour. Yeah. Like you said, yeah. Yeah, all good. No worries. 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes and whatever.